top one, that's a tough matchup too. Turbo Depths versus Allurin. Usually I would think Turbo Depths gets the nod here.
Allurin, very similar to Grixis Delver in the early turns, you know, Deathrite Shaman, some mopey creatures, and then you have a combo kill, but it's kind of slow. The Turbo Depths combo kill should be faster than yours, and you don't have meaningful interaction.
And players are going. Turn one, Alex just starting off on a Mountain Cat to 19. The Bant Spirits deck, we mentioned this yesterday, is the first time we've seen someone who's not Caleb Durward playing it.
And making a deep run.
Yeah, one away. This deck just doesn't lose on the tour. I don't know why it's not the most popular deck.
Best deck in tour history.
And we see Baral from Alex Vess. I think this is one of the difficulties from Bant Spirits is because their interaction is just 4 path to exile, 3 path to exile, nothing else. This Baral could go unchecked.
Yeah. You play Spell Quellers and you have Mausoleum Wanderers, though it's really tough to counter everything you need to with those cards. Especially if the Storm player has drawn some of their main deck Lightning Bolts. There are 2 and a Repeal. No unsubstantiate. Oh, there is as well, actually. So 4 pieces of interaction for Spell Queller.
Cat's going to lead on Selfless Spirit, and no second land as she'll pass back. This is a pretty big shields down moment.
Very possible we have a turn 3 win here.
Yeah, a lot of times Storm, when they get to untap with this mana creature, can win from there. See if Alex is able to do just that.
Hand does not look to have much in the way of red cards, which usually means they don't have enough.
Yeah, they have to set up then.
Unless that last card might be a Desperate Ritual.
Well, he's going to do something. Starting off with Manamorphose, so we're storming.
That one is generally good to start a turn even if you don't have a combo, because sometimes you draw into it and it's still around in the graveyard, as most of your wins do involve Past in Flames anyway. Yeah, it looks like there is a Desperate Ritual at the end of the hand. I missed that one before, and there's a Grape Shot already. Might be a Gifts Ungiven off of going off, though.
So red and blue off the Manamorphose.
Yeah, there's a Repeal and a second Baral. Those are not the blue cards you want. Repealing the Noble Hierarch is actually pretty big here.
And it looks like actually Alex is just going to lay up for the next turn. Makes Goblin Electromancer. Now spells discounted 2. Shivan Reef. He could keep going. Yeah, repeal, Grape Shot, Desperate Ritual. You don't actually want to repeal the Selfless Spirit. Cat would likely just sacrifice that, and he'll attack in for 1.
Yeah, get in there. So one of the best cards for light in the matchup is Spell Queller, and if Vess just repeals the Noble Hierarch, that's not online. It's not possibly online next turn, which is part of the big draw out of that line.
Looks like we might still be going here. Repeal on Noble Hierarch for 1. Keep in mind that this is Storm count currently 3.
Does Repeal work this way if it's discounted by 2?
You lock in the cost of X equals 1 for repeal. Spell costs blue 1, discounted 1. It's just a single blue.
Yeah, really nothing that can be done about this one.
Yeah, and it's a pretty good punish, especially because Cat is down on mana. Did not hit that second land drop. This should Time Walker and give Alex a redraw, even if he doesn't go off this turn. Draws off repeal, finds another land. Actually, that's not going to do much.
The hand is not shaping up.
Yeah.
It's got a redundant Baral, a Grape Shot, a Ritual, and a land. You need to find Gifts Ungiven.
Yeah, I mean, over the couple turns, if I think next turn Alex, because of how much mana he has, if he just, say, Serum Visions into Sleight of Hand go, that's going to be really good.
Yeah, you start to find more and more pieces. It's possible that there is a longer, more drawn-out Storm term that starts on, like, Manamorphose. You draw a blue cantrip, you cast your blue cantrip. Maybe you find Gifts Ungiven from there, and there should be enough mana left over at that point.
A Gifts would be pretty, if he can find a Gifts Ungiven, that's going to be pretty simple from here. That'll win.
That's easy mode. Those are the Storm games that even I can figure out.
Tap land, Noble Hierarch, Selfless Spirit swings for 3. Alex down to 17. And she'll pass back. Alex does not have a win here. He's looking to draw toward it. Blue cards would be nice. Pyretic Ritual is really not going to help him here.
Nope.
He just doesn't have enough material to storm high.
It really only has access to a mini Grape Shot, which only deals with the Selfless Spirit.
And now, Ryan, we're getting to the point where when Cat untaps, she might have Spell Queller mana up. And if that's true, the top deck Gifts Ungiven doesn't matter. We could see Spirits win this game.
Yeah, Alex is both missing the Gifts, and then he'd be missing interaction for the Spell Queller.
He has attacked Cat down to 13. A mini Grape Shot is not off the table completely. Remember, Grape Shot really would only kill Selfless Spirit here, however.
Yeah, you can't go upstairs for nearly enough just yet.
And yeah, created a great opportunity for himself, but not able to do much with it yet.
Depending on what the Manamorphose would have produced, he might have had a combo turn if he drew Past in Flames as well. So there was a reasonable number of outs on this turn, but for now, he's just probably going to have to hang tight.
No, the hand has 2 Rituals, Grape Shot, and Baral. There's just not much to be done. I'm going to say he'll just Grape Shot 1 creature. Doesn't really matter. Shoots Noble Hierarch. This is one of those situations where it's probably correct to sacrifice the Spirit. Alex is... But he's given Cat the option, which usually you don't want to give your opponent the option here.
It's likely, I mean, Cat's already missed a land drop, that the mana from the Hierarch matters.
Yes.
So if you target the Hierarch, I mean, that's just a card that you want gone.
Yeah, he's not going to get the Hierarch. He'll get the Selfless Spirit. Passes back. Like I mentioned, if Cat she hits land 4 here, if she has Spell Queller in hand, she can actually cover this board pretty nicely. Remember, thanks to cards like Rattle Chains, she doesn't have to make any mana main phase. And actually at the back of her hand, Ryan, it looks like she has 2 copies. Well, it's either Spell Queller or Drog Skull Captain. You can never really tell with those ones. She's got 2 of the gold 3s.
And there is a Reflector Mage in the mix, I can tell you that much. That one lines up terribly when the Storm player has both of the mana creatures. It has some good spots.
Well, now Alex found a card that will likely make him win, but it's a turn too late. It's a copy of Peer Through Depths.
Yeah, that's a lot of looks, but now that a potential Spell Queller is online, it's just a lot rougher.
Alex swung in with Baral. No, I actually kind of wished he'd swung in with both creatures. If Spell Queller jumps in front and eats the Goblin Electromancer, I'm pretty happy.
You would love to have it get eaten by a Spell Queller, but you'd be less into trading it with a Rattle Chains.
Well, I'd still be less into it. I'd probably still do it.
Yeah.
It's only 2 mana up. I'm dodging Queller.
If the configuration is Rattle Chains trade plus Path to Exile and Baral, things could be troublesome. I suppose Alex still has second Baral in hand, though.
So this will be interesting. Cat on end step's going to crack fetch land. If she casts something on Alex's end step, she's going to open a window for him to cast Peer Through Depths. Now, he might not be able to cast the card he finds off Peer Through Depths. But if he finds, say, Gifts Ungiven off of it, he can cast all of this at instant speed.
He can't Grape Shot at instant speed. So he can set up some things. He won't be able to fully combo, though.
Rattle Chains end step says, sure. Will she put something else into play? Now Alex is interested in casting spells. Storm is at 1.
Yeah, that's nothing. That's not.
He plays Quicken. He's gonna.
That used to be. People have played Quicken in Storm decks in Modern.
Here's Peer Through Depths. Spell Queller's down.
Frankly, that was my favorite era of Modern Storm.
Quicken.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I liked it back when there were Storm Mirrors and both players had Quickens, and then it's just this mess. No one comboing is the wrong play. Top 5, what can Alex find? Really would like Gifts Ungiven. And I don't think he hit it. He finds Manamorphose.
Yeah, Manamorphose and a Lightning Bolt.
Remand.
Remand's pretty good.
Yeah, he'll take Remand. That seems like the best, especially remember he has a Baral in play.
Bant Spirits is among the tribal decks that is lightest on Cavern of Souls in the format. Only 1 in the build here.
Rattle Chains resolves. Alex puts the Remand into his hand. Another 2 mana. I believe another Rattle Chains, or maybe a Selfless Spirit. Now all Cat's spirits have flash, so she'll flash Selfless Spirit into play. Protect from a Grape Shot. Makes sense. Gets to untap. So it looks like this Remand Ryan's being held for a possible Spell Queller. Is that your read on this?
Yes. And with only 4 mana available, ritualing into Gifts Ungiven with Remand backup should be good.
Yeah. Swing for 4, Alex to 13. I mean, Gifts Ungiven only costs 2 right now.
Yeah.
So you can just start the turn by casting Gifts if he can find it.
That card is messed up for 2 mana.
Manamorphose, the draw for Alex. That's just, speaking of cards that are messed up right now, how about that one?
Right. +1 mana draw card. Sign me up.
Play that in most decks. Here's Manamorphose. You don't really want to play a spell into this if you're Cat. You don't want to see that Remand happen with Baral. It's too many more extra cards for Alex.
Yeah, you get to draw and then loot.
Manamorphose, red-blue for Alex. Draws into Pyretic Ritual. It's just more mana. This isn't going to do it.
Once we get to the point where Alex gets desperate, you can see him remand his own spell.
And then she'll Spell Quell it, though.
Right. Though I don't think that Cat has applied enough pressure to make Alex that desperate yet.
I mean, yeah, we're not technically winning the race yet. You know, Alex swings in now for 3. Mana's gone. We'll get those swept away in a sec. Other game 1 results. They are split. Aaron Lanzo, mono red aggro, wins game 1. However, Turbo Depths with Pulliam takes game 1 over Alurin. This is actually what we expected in both those matchups.
Yep. As things stand, Cat is set up for an upset in the modern seat, though. Few more turns left to play. We'll see exactly how it shakes out.
Well, hold on. She is taking a lot of damage here. The idea that Alex can win a race is a little silly, but only a little.
He's getting kind of close to grape shotting for 6 and having it be lethal, which is
Yeah.
concerning.
Yeah. I mean, look, his hand has all these rituals.
Yeah.
Okay, if he draws a grape shot, he's going to win.
Well, he's, yeah, spending that first great shot, not great. But yeah, another grape shot would be good.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't know that this would happen, but
Yeah.
right, if he just finds, like, now it's not just drawing gifts again. If you draw a grape shot, you're, okay, look at all these
Yeah.
Electrons be like, okay, ritual, it's just, I'll shoot you.
7 is a pretty achievable storm threshold.
End step, rattle chains. And now Cat has decided, you know, there's that fetch land in play. I'm not really sure I want to crack a fetch land. I guess she's just really, the grape shot gets her anyway. Might as well crack a fetch land.
If you're not using the mana, not really a purpose.
Okay. Birds of Paradise picked up for Cat. She has a swing for 6. So Alex would have to draw. We're nearing the end here. This is pretty wild. Alex, I could just try. He has about 1 more draw to work with. Consulting with Will Pulliam. He's between games here.
Yes, at least 1 more draw. Possibly 2. As things stand, it's 2 anyway.
Swing for 6. So both players now at 7. Alex takes full damage.
Pretty sure every time my Storm opponent has cast a turn 2 Baral, I have lost on turn 3.
Because he attacked a bunch of times and then you lost to combat damage?
No. Would you believe that it was because they comboed on turn 3?
No, I don't know if I'd believe that. I've been watching this whole game.
Doesn't look like that's what this deck does.
Yeah. It's this deck makes mana and attacks.
Yeah, it's kind of like a blue-red variant on Ponza. It repeals your mana creature.
And then attacks you. You have to play rituals to make sure you can repeal whatever you'd like. Back over to Alex. He's got to win through a spell color, but Grape Shot would do it. He draws Shivan Reef.
That one's not good.
It's not going to do another question on my side, Ryan, is whether or not he can get himself another turn.
So I mentioned he had the option to remand his own spell if he ever got desperate. I think we're officially desperate.
Well, I mean, how sure are you that Cat has Spell Queller? It feels really strong.
What do you do?
Well, she doesn't have 7 damage on the battlefield. If you try to remand your own spell, then she'll Spell Queller your remand.
Well, if you pass the turn, she just casts Spell Queller and you die.
No, you remand it.
Okay.
You go to 1, you feel...
That's true.
Yeah.
If she has that plus Mausoleum Wanderer, then you're
Then you
out.
lose. If she has that plus any other spirit she can flash into play, you lose. It's not a good line.
Yeah. It's a tough spot.
Swing for 3. Problem is that next turn Cat untaps with 6 mana, so the Remand on Spell Queller is not even good enough.
Right.
That Birds of Paradise will do that for her.
She's considering a chump block, which, with the amount of cards in hand and how easily lethal a Grape Shot is, that sounds reasonable.
Well, the Grape Shot's already lethal, and she's going to 6 on this attack, so I think we're just looking at main deck Lightning Bolts shooting her out, and that does, you know, if Alex has had these 2 mana creatures and has a Grape Shot in hand, you're probably dead to it. Alex would have to storm up to, 3 spells plus Grape Shot would win. Through a whole world of Spell Quellers, you're just dead to Grape Shot.
So one of the things about playing around Spell Queller is if she just has some other spirit, then you lost because you played around a card that wasn't there.
That's true. The way she's played this game, I wouldn't be surprised if your read is just Spell Queller.
The way that the instant speed deck played at the end step on every turn of the game.
She's left up 3 the entire game.
Yeah. That's just like the smart way to play it, though.
It is. It'd be great. I mean, maybe you've gotten taken for a ride by a great bluff, and if that's true, I'm shaking my opponent's hand. Alex is going to try to remand one spell, and she should Spell Quell this.
I think that this is what you want to do as the Storm player. We'll find out if it works out.
Well, if she Spell Quells the Pyrotic Ritual, he's done. So
yeah.
We'll see if she makes the. She Spell Quells the Remand, he's done too.
He's so likely to be dead anyway.
If you let him resolve this and he finds a Grape Shot, he wins.
Yep.
You got to. It doesn't matter.
You don't know the contents of the hand, which makes the line tough even if you have the Spell Queller.
Right. The argument for letting this resolve would be there's something else you need to counter if you're worried about Gifts Ungiven or something.
Yeah.
It's possible.
There's just so many cards. I mean, the deck is called Bant Spirits. It's chock full of spirits that can be flashed in. It's just very likely that at least something is available that can make lethal on the following turn. So I like shoving here. And there's the Spell Queller from Cat.
Great. She correctly saved it to the right point here. Targets Pyretic Ritual. That's going to fizzle the Remand.
Yep, catches both of them. And
that's going to do it. The rest of his hand does not play.
Yep. The line makes a lot of sense to me. It's not working out, though.
Remand has no targets. Counter on Resolution. Cat has 8 power in the air. Alex is at 7. Land. Says go. All she has to do is turn the flyer sideways.
Yep. And Cat has been stuck on that Reflector Mage the whole game, but she had enough going on otherwise that she will be able to close here.
And swinging for 8. That'll do it. Game 1 goes over to Cat Light. So she pulls ahead, and both her and Will Pulliam winning their Game 1s means they are up 2-1 going into sideboarded games. A very close one there for Bant Spirits.
Yep. We'll see if we're able to close as we look at the sideboards.
All right, I'll do that after a short break. we are back here for the sideboarded games and some extra pressure. Team of Pulliam, Light, and Gunn now 1 win away from the top 8 because Will of Pulliam's legacy match is finished. 2-0. He defeats Lawrence Vess on a Lurin, and now eyes are going to be on Alex Vess. Can he pick up the slack? He needs to win the next 2 to keep his team's tournament hopes alive.
Yep, we look at the sideboards here. For Alex Vess, we have 4 pieces of the puzzle, 2 Empty the Warrens, 2 Giga Grouse, an Abrade, a Chandra Torch of Defiance, an Echoing Truth, a Lightning Bolt, a Search for Escanta, a Wipe Away, and a Shattering Spree. So you like having interaction with Spell Queller.
Yeah, so I want to interact with Spell Queller here, so I can see Alex going for something like Giga Drowse and that 3rd Lightning Bolt, things that can interact with it.
Abrade, a little inefficient, but still does the job.
Probably still good. Outside of that, I think all he's boarding in is ways to answer hate cards. So he has an Unsubstantiate and a Repeal in the main. I don't know if he needs anything else.
Yeah. Wipe Away is actually kind of compelling in a matchup where your opponent has enough instant speed interaction, especially because Rattle Chains can block a Spell Queller. Things like that can be meaningful. When your opponent is doing things like taxing your mana with Mausoleum Wanderer, going for pieces of the puzzle because it's cheaper than Gifts Ungiven is actually somewhat interesting. Also because your opponent's a white deck, they could have Rest in Peace, and it's hard to assemble a Gifts Past in Flames win.
Okay. So we will look at Cat's sideboard. Typically what Bant Spirits does here is they just have some Haymaker hate cards for combo matchups, and that's true for Cat's deck as well.
Yep.
2 Kataki, 2 Rest in Peace, 2 Thalia, 2 Ceremonious Reduction, 2 Settle the Wreckage, an Engineer Explosives, a Mirren Crusader, a Kasali Pride Mage, a Unified Will, and a Worship. Some pretty good cards here.
Yes, the Rest in Peace tend to be pretty good because of Past in Flames. Thalia is excellent. It just undoes 1 mana creature, turns the deck into having some pretty bad cards. Unified Will to fight over some of the counter wars that can be meaningful. Sometimes you want to make sure you can cover empty, so Engineered Explosives can be reasonable in the matchup as well.
Yeah, that one, I mean, it's hard, right? Because this isn't the type of matchup where Storm will try to empty you. But then again, you never know when your Storm player will do it anyway.
Right. Sometimes it just happens, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
I wish I could kill all these goblins.
Yeah, I find that when I'll play decks, I'll play something like Amulet, a deck which actually you don't want to empty against. And I'll be like, well, maybe I want to board out Engineered Explosives because normally they don't empty against me. It's like, I almost always leave it in because I think they might not know that.
Right.
And if they don't, I need to, like, I would hate to board out saying they shouldn't empty, and then they empty me, and then I can't find it because I boarded it out. It's like, well, I'd feel silly if that happened. So for 1 card, yeah, I'll keep it in. Stuff like that. Extra pressure. Kwame Gunn, Cat's teammate, takes game number 2 over Aaron Lanzo. So just 1 more win. Doesn't matter which table. That will send them to the top 8.
Mono red on the play can be reasonably advances against red-black.
Yeah, so the team of Light or Gunn needs a game win. I don't think they're favored to get either of these 2 games. They're on the draw in Cat's game 2 and Kwame's game 3. Both of them are in matchups that I think they're slightly unfavored and on the draw. So maybe they're under 50. I think they're under 50% in both games. However, the way that works, under 50% is fine when you have more than 1 chance.
Right. A lot of human beings, the idea is if you're 51%, that means
that's
you can,
100.
Yeah, exactly. If it's positive, it's going to happen. But 3 slightly unfavorable shots, even maybe moderately unfavorable, you're actually doing all right.
Yeah, you're doing more than all right. You know, you look at the game 3 in standard and the fact that even if Cat loses this, she gets another try.
Right.
One of those 3, I like their odds.
And Storm certainly has a fail rate. We saw a lot of that happening in game 2.
Yeah, there was a lot in that game 2 where Alex had multiple mana creatures, couldn't find Alex let Cat untap, she got a couple turns, and then he resolved a Peer Through Depths, and that missed as well. Any of those hit, and we'd be looking at a different story here.
Yes. As I was saying, anytime my opponent casts turn 2 Baral and I'm not playing a blue deck, I just lose. It's just every time.
Yeah.
I can Thoughtseize him twice and I'll still lose.
I don't really play blue decks in Modern, so I usually lose to the Baral also. But it feels good when you can win through it. I like those. They don't happen that often.
So recently I've been playing Affinity, and it's about the worst matchup.
Yeah, that's not great.
So Storm not only just like wins faster than you do, but then they board in like 4 Plaguewinds. And they can give Ungiven for Plaguewin. It's very frustrating.
And then they also, their Grape Shot, their win con also just happens to be Plaguewin.
They add main deck Plaguewinds too. It's additional Plaguewinds.
Yeah.
You see that Shattering Spree there? That is a nightmare.
I usually play decks at about 50-50 with Affinity. I like slower combo decks. No, so it's like Affinity's not combo, but it's like combo speed.
It's combo adjacent.
Yeah.
In the matchups where you have to go fast, you have some turn 3s.
Yeah.
I know that Elves is a matchup I'm not thrilled to play against with Affinity, but every time I play against them, I end up poisoning them because it's just like really fast.
It's like you can be like, oh yeah, Scape Shift, that's a combo deck. You're good against Affinity. It's like, it's close.
Yeah.
We're the same speed. That's why I bring a stack of Ancient Grudge, just because I respect their deck a ton.
Yeah, that's why. It's not because red and green have no other good sideboard
That
options.
that is the best red-green card in Modern by a country mile. So I'm like, I'll just board in 4.
Not remotely close. Well, I could play Gaia's Revenge in my sideboard.
Or I could play
maybe a Thrun the Last Troll.
Yeah, it's like it's we can play 1 Chameleon Colossus or this 4th Ancient Grudge. Like, well, Grudge, when it's good, Grudge is nice.
Yeah.
It's 1 and 2 mana Vindicate.
Pretty good spell.
Both players keeping on 7 here for game number 2. Alex Vess starting off Spiral Bluff into Serum Visions. Both top. I am really concerned when my Storm opponent does that.
That is scary.
Birds of Paradise for Cat.
Also scary, but less scary.
Mana creature in hand for Alex. Looks like he has Goblin Electromancer. Checks out his teammate. Yeah, says, do the thing. Here's Goblin. Back over to Cat. She has Thalia that would counteract the Electromancer. And that's what we'll see. Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, 1 mana up. Can't really do much with that mana because Thalia's in play, so she'll pass. Draw here. That was the second card on top from Alex, and it looks like it was the copy of a Braid.
Yep, if there's a land available. Actually, it's just a wash, so you can still cast a Braid. Spells just cast.
Yeah.
They cast as cost. Yep.
This one's easy. And he'll Abrade the Thalia, doing it main phase here. It's unlikely he'll be able to do more.
Yep. Maybe use that blue mana as a cantrip. Certainly tapping the Shivan Reef suggests that there's a follow-up.
Okay, sleight of hand. There's arguments actually for doing this both ways with a Braid. He could wait to Cat's end step, and then he'd hamper her mana, and if she has a second Thalia, he'd play around it. However, he might get spell quelled if he makes that play.
Yep.
Swings in with Goblin Electromancer after sleight of hand.
Back on the beatdown plan.
Yeah, this is how the deck works. It's
Aggro Storm. Every hit with Goblin Electromancer is 2 to the Storm count.
All right, third land from Cat and passes back over to Alex. So looking at cards like Collected Company, Spell Queller.
A lot of scary
stuff. A lot
stuff.
of things. This deck plays at instant speed.
Yep.
And Alex's hand, a light, looks to be light again.
Some rituals. Looks like only 1 blue card.
Yeah, it's Repeal, Manamorphose, Desperate Ritual, Pyretic Ritual. That's it. So start on Manamorphose. He's, again, this is an exploratory Manamorphose.
This is a sequencing thing that the good Storm players like to say. I know that Andrew Shout has played a lot of Storm, and he likes to say the biggest mistake that he sees is players just not casting their Manamorphose when they don't have a combo, because sometimes you draw into it. Similar thing in Legacy Storm. If you have a Brainstorm, sometimes you just cast it and you win that turn.
Cat has an interesting decision. One of the cards in her hand is Unified Will. Right now, that card is not online, but she might have something like Rattlechain's Unified Will.
The 1-2 punch.
Yeah, well, what you'd hate, actually, is if she goes for that line, Alex's Repeal becomes incredibly good here.
Yeah. There's also just combinations of leftovers, even if you counter the Manamorphose, that still combo this turn. Yeah. 2 rituals and a Gifts Ungiven would do it.
And the Manamorphose hit Grape Shot. That's not that impressive. Again, Alex is left with just leftovers. No payoff card. And both times he's kept hands with cantrips and no payoff. And Cat has gotten to develop her mana pretty freely. Just, it was down. Shields were down for a couple turns, but it was not punished. And with 4 mana, he'll pass. We'll see what Cat can do on the end step now. Assume some sort of threat is coming.
Be really surprising if the plan was just to do nothing from here.
So we're on Alex's end step. Hallowed Fountain.
Or not.
Or not. We'll go with the basic island, correct? And it was a Misty Rainforest, so that's fine.
Maybe Rattle Chain, Spell Queller, maybe Collected Company.
Looks like Rattle Chains and something.
Selfless Spirit is what I meant.
Yeah, once the Rattle Chains is in play, then we're done with all that sorcery speed stuff. There's also a Collected Company. I don't mind just casting that.
Yeah.
It's a good card.
Especially against a Remand deck, trying to use Collected Company to find a Spell Queller against a relevant spell is kind of dicey.
And it resolves that. She took a big risk by going for that into Remand, but it pays off. 6 cards, and now this should be all the threats she needs. We see 2 Drog Skull Captains. Yup.
That makes Spell Queller a lot better.
Yeah, they're both 3/3s with Hexproof. All her future spirits will have Hexproof and does not need to tap out again. Draws Spell Queller for the turn. Oh my.
I see.
Swings for 6. Alex down to 14. She plays Gavany Township for the turn. She may have lethal. It's possible for her to have lethal on untap. End step, make creatures, untap, Township them all.
Yeah. Currently she has 6. This board would be 9 by itself with the Township activation. Add a 4-power creature to that, which is just a 2 base power spirit, and that's lethal. Because a Township would make that one a 5. You would need another land, because the birds couldn't do all of that.
So getting their life totals corrected here. They had a discrepancy, but this is right, 17 and 14. We'll continue on. Now we're still on Cat's second main phase. That also means that Unified Will in her hand is active. So between the Queller and Unified Will in her hand, it's just going to be a nightmare for Alex to get through this.
Not to mention that his hand is terrible.
Yeah, I mean, that's just been true all match.
The top deck did not help.
This means if Alex is not top 8, this means there were exactly 2 other players playing Storm in either Modern or Legacy in this tournament. They were on the same team. They're the 1 seed. No one else.
Storm's great.
Alex, going to start out Repeal on Birds of Paradise.
Now, because Spell Queller plus Unified Will costs 5 mana, you at least float a mana, and you probably even just fight over this.
Yeah,
because
I think I agree.
Alex just passes phases if you're going to use that mana.
I kind of like spell quelling it because when it comes back, it doesn't do anything.
That's also true.
It's just a counter. He draws into pieces of the puzzle. Mana's floating.
Well, I would be very surprised if pieces resolved. I would expect Alex to pass to the post-combat main phase. So we want to go represent that mana, but I believe Alex will be passing through that phase.
Okay, post-combat.
Yeah. I would like to attack you. Never mind. Second main.
Well, when he moves combat phases, looks like she's going to cast something here. She wants to make Rattle Chains off the blue she floated in the Township. Makes sense. Now, okay, before combat, make a 2/1.
Yeah.
Or how about a 4/3?
And you get to leave up Queller still or Unified Will.
4/3 hexproof. Yeah, I mean, if you just quell this spell, you win. It's 14 damage. Here's Pyretic Ritual from Alex.
I like the sequencing leading on the rituals. It makes the pieces more concerning.
Yeah, I mean, as long as she needs to not flinch here. If she can't spell quell any of the red things. If she gets the Queller on pieces of the puzzle, it should send them to the top 8.
Mm-hmm.
Alex doesn't have another line, and the Queller would be 14 points of damage. This would be the match.
Yep. Yeah, currently the Grape Shot is well shy of lethal and can't target any creatures, so it's not going to make any meaningful impact. So as long as you keep Vess at a low volume of cards, it should be smooth sailing. A lot of tension playing against Storm. But as this plays out, we should see any spell that matters getting quelled and any spell that doesn't matter not being quelled.
here is Spell Queller, and she's going to do it on the Pyretic Ritual. All right. Now we have a game, Ryan.
This is an opening.
This was a mistake.
There's more rituals, and that piece has the potential to be very good.
So Pyretic Ritual, 5th spell of the turn. You see Alex is excited himself, up to 3 red. He needs to full combo. Everything has hexproof. Pieces of the puzzle.
Finding some rituals in a Past in Flames might be good enough here.
Well, we got to check out on those lands. I don't think he has any more blue mana. But a Manamorphose would be, or a Past in Flames could just do it.
Yeah, you won't need blue mana if he finds rituals Past in Flames.
Piece of the puzzle, top 5. There's Past in Flames and a Pyretic Ritual. He may have just stolen this. Past in Flames, Pyretic Ritual. Rituals up to 7. Grape Shot is spell 8. Past in Flames, cast all the red cards of the graveyard. I think he has this.
The question is, how high can the Storm get? He's at 6 currently and needs to deal 17.
Yeah, he has a Grape Shot in hand. I think he's got it.
Yeah, you can certainly generate a lot.
So here's pieces that spell 6. And it doesn't, a misstep from Cat. It looks like Aaron's going to get the game, but it's not going to matter. Kwame Gunn does get the win over on the standard table. So 2-1, he wins. Will Pulliam, Cat Light, and Kwame Gunn are headed to the top 8.
Well, all right. Yeah, we will see them there.
But I love, on Alex Vess, I'm going to say he won that game.